I want to start with a question. Fundraising can feel heavy or maybe even draining for many nonprofit leaders. And often there's the underlying belief that asking for money is uncomfortable or there's never enough. Well, we're going to talk about that question and others today. This is Funding Your Future Now podcast. I'm Dr. Randy Dirks, and I have been in the nonprofit world for about 27 years as a fundraiser. Have seen a variety of situations, love what I do. And this podcast is designed for people in the nonprofit world, leaders, maybe presidents, nonprofit fundraisers. And we just want to add value. We want to find ways in which we can do that. And the way I do that is I bring in people from a wide variety of perspectives and backgrounds. The expertise they bring is really quite valuable because it gives practical insights for what we as nonprofit leaders face every day. And so it's my delight today to have as my guest Angela Eifert. She brings with her a master's degree in international business, a BA in communication, and more than 2 decades in professional experience guiding executives, funders of organizations, and organizations themselves. So, Angela, what a delight to have you on the podcast today. And why don't you just take a few moments and share with people a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Randy. Thanks for having me. I have a very interesting background for fundraising. I did start my career in financial services, learning the account management way of sales and learning that all sales are about relationships. And I did take that skill into my passion space and was lucky enough to follow my heart into applying the skill of sales and relationship building in nonprofit fundraising. So I spent another 12 years working in international humanitarian response work and have continued to learn the value of relationship building and the power of activating funds to make a difference in the world. And I've always believed business is making a difference in the world. And now I see both sides of how we as human beings are building our own legacies as much as a brand in a business. And so how we apply ourselves into that space is really exciting for me. And I feel like we're always learning how to be better stewards of value. But I love that question about, we're here to provide value as fundraisers as well.
I love the blend you have of business and the nonprofit world. That's a unique space to be in. So here's some questions, Angela. Many nonprofit leaders, they're deeply mission driven. And so but they can find themselves constantly in what we'll say is a reactive mode, putting out fires, responding to crises, managing board dynamics. So you speak about what we're calling energetic principles. And so from your perspective of blending energetic principles with leadership strategy, bringing those together, what's one practice that can help a nonprofit president shift from that reactive mode to intentional leadership, especially when urgency seems to never stop?
Yeah, great question. And my word for this is pause. I think the energetic response to alignment in any decision-making process, whether it's a crisis or more of a mundane decision, I do feel just really knowing how you feel about that and checking in with yourself before jumping to a reaction or jumping to a decision is important. So pausing to check in with yourself as a leader and allowing that space and time to support you, right? And to not feel rushed, to allow that time to be that space where you check in and really apply objective thinking. And you have all the skills as a leader. You have many options. You have many people to connect with about something. And those are important resources. But oftentimes we do get hurried or rushed to make a decision because we feel pressure and we overlook the opportunity to just take that breath or that moment to pause and to really value and respect the calm that's required to make a sound decision. And that's the energetic space that I actually think it's really hard to achieve sometimes, especially in crisis, finding that calm. That's where we really want to be when we make a decision.
I love that, and maybe for some people a little bit more high charging, it's just get out and take a 2-minute walk.
Mm,
Do
absolutely.
something where you just remove yourself a little bit from that pressured environment.
Yeah.
like you say, take that pause.
Yeah, and if I could add to that, just as a
Mhm.
leader, it also can feel pressure from the outside, right? Not only just pressure on ourselves, but also there's expectations often of leaders
Yes,
to have a quick executive response. But actually, I think it's even more important for a leader to show the value of a really sound process in decision making and know that in order to defend my position, I need to do what I need to do as a leader in my own way to come forward as
mm,
a true leader. I think really good examples of saying this is an important decision to make and it requires a moment of pause to
mm,
understand this more thoroughly and ask for that space, but it's with respect to that decision. So I think it goes both ways, both pressure from external and internal, but it is a moment to say, I respect the process of finding alignment and calm before making a decision that affects many people. And that's important.
absolutely. I think leaders feel as though sometimes they're put on their hero cape and they
Yeah.
need to provide all the answers they need to fix situations. And
Mhm.
that sort of puts them in, like you said, a little bit too of a rushed situation. But just to say, I need to gather more information, be honest and say, that's a great issue. That's a great question. I'm going to have to think about that for a while. So we don't have to feel as though we're always giving the answer, solving the situation, resolving a problem. And so to step back, I think that's great wisdom. So thank you for that, Angela. Well, fundraising can feel heavy,
Mhm.
can feel draining for many nonprofit leaders. But there's an underlying belief for some of us in this industry that asking for money is, let's just say, be real, is uncomfortable. And there's never enough. And so how would you guide a nonprofit executive to reframe the relationship with fundraising, use the law of attraction
Mhm.
principles, so they're actually drawing resources rather than the person feeling that they have to chase resources.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much to say here, but I will. The most important thing in a law of attraction process in real is belief. It's belief that you are providing value by the connection that in fundraising, especially in a mission based organization or a nonprofit, it is about how connected the people are to that cause. And to know that your value in providing that space for engagement is really important. And there's many reasons why it's really important, not just to the benefactors of your cause, but also to the people who are immersing themselves, their time, their value, their treasure, right? And it's on both sides of this, there's a lot of exchanged value. So to really believe that you're working in that space of value comes down to relationships. And so when we're in fundraising and again, feeling that pressure to raise money that feels scarce, the real answer, the real story is also, there's two choices. We can see this as an abundant space, or we can see this as a limited space. And oftentimes in executive review, we may see a bunch of numbers on a spreadsheet and we may see the landscape analysis and we may be convinced that this is a limited space. But when you look at the other side of the story and you realize the abundance of relationships and the real value that we're working in is priceless. And that becomes a process of belief that we're offering something that's not reflected in that spreadsheet. And so we step out into a new arena, we step out of the box and we do this differently. And we attract value back at us that because we now believe in the people that we are approaching, we believe that there's something of great value to them that they
Mhm.
are connecting to that
Yeah.
shapes their life in ways that we really, it's like it's not a clear cut pitch deck or right. There's a
Yeah.
lot of connectivity that
Mhm.
comes through a relationship that truly is priceless. So when we approach the relationship and we simply ask for their support and we co-create with them and we dream with them,
Mm.
we're actually helping them to build their legacy. This is about their own expression of generosity. And that is a number that we don't know what that value is to that person.
For sure.
And so the law of attraction is one of belief that our value is priceless and we are creating legacies that live beyond, long past us. And and so it would be in our best interest to choose that higher path that knows that what we're doing is helping a critical mass of people that we can see in a spreadsheet, but also building legacies in life beyond just one person or in this lifetime. So it's to know that we have a legacy and that legacy has a priceless value, and we can be surprised by the reaction or the transformative impact that we can make when we step into full belief and be, explorers of what this value is to somebody's life.
For sure.
As a fundraiser, working with a philanthropist or a donor that simply wants to give something of value
Mhm.
that reflects their best self.
Right.
That is a really, really powerful and exciting space to be in that, doesn't need to be distracted by a number. And once you get to the point where you realize the value of exchange has happened and there's something really important about this cause in this person's life, really that number, it starts to grow over years. It's a long-term growth process. And it really sustains your portfolio. It sustains, they become part of who that cause is. And at the end of the day, these nonprofits are about the people that serve and who they're serving. It's about people. So if we can create that platform for the best expression of them, that's really what matters. And allow the value of that to come through in that natural way will surprise you. And it will, in my experience, be a lot more than you thought it could be. And so that law of attraction really is about staying rooted in what the greater good is, or what the real priceless value of this work is, to not get distracted or caught up in the spreadsheet of it, but to balance that when you're meeting with someone, it's about so much more. It's about so much more than just that one project or that one moment of engagement. It's about a legacy or a story that they're telling their families. And that's the exciting place that people want to be able to come to and dream and co-create new value. So new value can come from that.
For sure. Wow, that was quite a download, Angela. I really love what you were saying there. I'm going to pick up on two things: co-create and legacy. The idea of co-create in my mind is that when I'm interacting with somebody else, there's mutuality. We're
Mhm,
working together. It's just not give to this, give to us, give to this. It's what is it on your heart? Let's dialogue, and maybe my original proposal or ask to that party may be modified
mhm,
because of the I'm willing to let that other person co-create with me. Not that they're taking the organization off track. I'm not referencing that, but something where we mutually say, you know what, this is a fit for both of us. We're accomplishing our goals together.
mhm,
That was priceless. And then the idea of legacy. I believe that we're all created to be generous. Now,
mhm,
some of us may restrict that spirit of being generous. I understand that. We probably all restrict it to some degree. But when you talk about the legacy of what you want to leave after yourself, leave beyond, leave in your family, leave beyond to others, leave as an example to
mhm,
other people. You were saying some things there that really ring very much true with me. And I think is the core of what we as advancement fundraising professionals need to lean into so much more than, like you said, the spreadsheet and the numbers. They're just off on the side when we get to these other areas. Tremendous
mhm,
thoughts. Well, another question is nonprofit teams operate under resource constraints and
mhm.
high emotional stakes. When you're working with a leader who wants to build a culture of trust and innovation, despite these pressures that are always there, what's one awareness based principle you teach that has surprisingly practical results in how teams collaborate and solve problems together? So take that, and let's love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, when all else fails, just do something and take an action forward, regardless of the resources you have, and continue to learn from each step forward. So everything is a building block. And we can right size our action steps to fit our place or resource level that we're at and still continue to do prototypes of something that we can shape and learn from and build on. So I see the breaking down of every system down to a building block. And if we can still have trust in the very next step that we take some form of action, then that pressure can be relieved, right? And you can still continue to move forward. And here we just want to make sure we're not getting paralysis because we do feel that scarcity, but that we're
Mhm.
actually seeing new ways forward. And that is, in a lot of ways, innovation, right? When
Mhm.
you're in a highly constrained environment and you're learning to take actions that are, constrained or maybe not what you imagined, but you're taking the next best step that you can take, there's another door that opens that you wouldn't have known. But
Right.
it's the idea that you trusted taking an action that felt feasible enough. And then you got to learn about the process from another vantage point that
Right.
allowed you to open another door. So the building blocks of movement can still happen always. And to not get discouraged because we do feel this constrained environment. But there's a lot of creativity and innovation that comes from high constraints.
Mm.
So have some fun in that process of building blocks and learning because there may be a reason why the space was limited. There may be something really important that we needed to learn in those really fundamental steps. And so to be really awake for that is important, or aware as the question asks. But yeah, that's the awareness, is to be grateful for that learning of each action step you can take and keep it within reason, keep it within bounds, and navigate with openness to the uncertainty, but trusting your process. So you're not feeling or you're taking big risk, but you are learning and you're starting to uncover something of great value along the way.
Well, it's so good, it's not just accomplishing something, it's what am I
Mhm.
learning as I'm accomplishing
Mhm.
whatever
Yes.
I'm involved in. And then as you said, that becomes it's like a snowball,
Mhm.
You and I live in Minnesota, and so that snowball as you roll it in the
Mhm.
warmer weather, it gets bigger and bigger. And so
Mhm.
it's like as you experience something and you see a value and you add to it, you're really creating something that even has larger capacity. So
Yeah.
great insight. Well,
Mhm.
you talk about leading with what you reference in some of your work, elevated frequency and personal power. For a nonprofit president navigating a significant transition, maybe it was a leadership change or funding uncertainty or organizational restructuring that's happening, all those changes. What does actually look like in practice, this idea of elevated frequency, personal power? How do these leaders maintain that grounded presence when everything else seems a little uncertain underneath them and unstable?
Yeah, it's that balancing act of trusting the process and not allowing the fear to pressure us into making hasty decisions,
Mm.
or feeling like we should be somewhere and we're not there yet. These are all just things that we tell ourselves, and actually in energetic space, it's not even really maybe the truth. It's just one narrative. And we create the reality. And so whatever benchmark you thought was defined as success, bring it back, redefine the moment to meet the moment. And so that is the most important thing that we can do to keep our elevation, our frequency in a place of productivity, of moving forward, and reaching for that growth. Because again, growth isn't just one form. It's always evolving
Mm.
with energy shift, and energy is moving always. So for us to be so grounded in one perspective of growth doesn't allow us to navigate change or to provide the value maybe that's being called upon, because we're still stuck in some past narrative about what we thought value was. But there is a shift, and the more we can be nimble to the shift in redefining value or what success looks like, we will feel that success of our leadership, and we'll feel that we really did truly lead with alignment. And that alignment, again, doesn't just affect one person, it affects a lot of people, a lot of decisions. So it's really important that we don't jump into old timelines or definitions that maybe needed to evolve or needed to be reset. So as we go through a lot of change or uncertainty, being okay with ambiguity for the sake of learning, but also for the sake of change, and being open to redefining success to meet the moment is, I think, a really important skill. an energetic practice for a leader.
Yeah. While you were talking, I'm going to pick up on the phrase redefining success. I'm going to give you a personal story. Many
Mm.
years ago at the nonprofit I work at, I was introduced to a foundation and made the initial contact, started the dialogue, and of course the foundation wanted to know things like your balance sheet and financial stability. And it was a time in an organization where honestly we were struggling a little bit with some of the issues that we were facing financially as an organization. And instead of I had to redefine success. Okay, instead of saying, okay, my goal is to get this foundation to fund a cause, which we really could have benefited from the money at that point. It was an 8-year process of working with that foundation. They just didn't go away, but they helped us, the leader there helped us start to redefine success. They spoke into us as an organization. They gave perspective on things that we could address and we could do. We came out actually better because of that redefining that process. And as a result, because we elevated ourselves in what we learned, that foundation not only gave a 3-year grant to us, but they did something unusual that they normally don't do. They gave us 2 3-year consecutive grants. And
Wow.
so it was really a little tough slugging, but
Mhm.
it had to do with redefining success. So that is
Mhm.
very, very helpful comment.
Mhm.
Well, I've got some what I call the fast five here at the end
Mhm.
for you as a person. And so here's question number one. What's a great piece of advice, professionally or otherwise, that you've received in your life?
Well, just be you. Just be yourself, and you will attract your tribe and all the people that you need in your corner, and that has been true.
So good. Question number two. What's a daily habit you cannot live without?
For me, meditation and running. So I have a I do take breaks from running, but meditation's a daily. But these are ener- energetic healing practices that really do support me each and every day. So my first thing I do in the morning is meditate, and I have some days they're longer than others, but it really fuels me for the rest of the day to be in that calm state that allows me
Mhm.
to be at my best.
Yeah, love that. Next question is if you could give some advice to your 20-year-old self, so go back in time, what advice would you give to you when you were 20 years old?
Gratitude. Have gratitude for every opportunity
Mm,
that you have. It's we're if I think back to my 20-year-old self and how much I was always reaching and climbing and trying to get somewhere. And if I could go back, it would be to remember presence and gratitude in that moment is all I needed to do, is to just be grateful for the opportunity to be where I was and to experience every step, every process, every person, right? It's like that presence and gratitude for it fills the cup
mm.
and spills over. It's that's that for me. I've realized now later that really is the magic.
I like your phrase. It fills the cup and it flows over into the lives of
Mhm.
so good. Well, I want you to think of not in a real negative way, but a failure in your life, but it actually turned out to set you up for success.
Yeah. Boy, this one's always hard because there's so many moments where I feel like I failed, and it's not always clear that it taught me. It's always taught me, but sometimes we don't always get those opportunities to do it again and see the impact of its conversion. But I will give one my first time I got laid off in my career
Wow.
after 10 years
Mm,
working in financial services. It was 2008 during that banking crisis.
sure.
Having that layoff felt like a failure in my first career,
Mm,
right? And it was hard. It was a really hard one for me, and
especially.
because I had a lot of identity attachment to that, and I
Mhm.
really did like my job, and
For sure.
so I ended up going through a lot of self discovery, and it did set me up for finding my dream job. So
Mm,
I do feel like while it was a really hard thing to go through, it really did allow me the space and time to get to know myself in a whole new
mm,
way and allowed me to navigate towards something that was really aligned for me, not just in my mind, but in my heart and my spirit. So that's something that I feel now really grateful that I had that time to find me and find my next opportunity. Yeah, that's some, there's a phrase, sometimes failure isn't failure at all, it's a redirection
Mhm.
or protection. So if we think about, failure, again, redefining what it is to us, we can also see it as a real positive because it just allows us to move toward something that was more aligned for us, or maybe protecting us from something that would not have been in any way aligned. So that's something I've learned.
Yeah, great lesson. Last question. Where's your favorite place on earth to disconnect and recharge?
Mm. So I have a running route out in nature. So nature's the big answer, but there is a specific place on my running route very close to my home, but it's a lake. It's a small lake and has a little bit of a fishing spot where you'll
Yeah,
see young kids fishing off the side. And I'll go running there, take time. It's very
mm,
quiet, very peaceful. Water is my
yes,
calm,
yeah,
and so I just love to be around water. And that place just has a special place for me to clear my
mm,
mind and just kind of brings me back to that home inside and feels like, safe. And I oftentimes have creative bursts there. And so there's something about that environment that really does support me. So I feel lucky to have it.
so good. Yeah, running, walking, and water. They work so well together.
Yeah.
Sort of clearing the mind, giving new perspective, new ideas, like you just
Okay.
said. That's so good. Well,
Hmm.
Angela, what a delight just to connect with you today, to hear your heart, to hear your perspective that you've shared with us. Just love for you to share with our audience a little bit how people can connect with you.
Hmm.
Just take some moments to share that.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, people can connect to me through two channels. One of them is if you happen to be working in the business environment as a founder looking to start a business. I do work with founders to align resources and connections to
Okay.
support you through Beta. And you can reach out through angela.eifert@beta. Or if you're looking for energetic healing and alignment in your personal or professional life and just looking for more life coaching, I would love to work with you. And that is Angela at Elefate, ELEFATE dot com, or sorry, dot org. Oh my gosh, elefate.us.
Okay.
That one's a tough one, sorry. That's my personal email, but, my business, but Beta is my more business side if you're looking for some support there, and then Elevate is my life coaching practice, and I do Reiki healing as well, so I'd love to work with you.
And give that personal email one more time.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I need to look it up right now just to make sure I got that right. I
Well,
cannot believe I just, like, blanked on my own
well,
mess.
I have that happen to me all the time. Things that you think are very common, all of a
Oh,
sudden
yeah,
they're gone. And where do they go?
it's more just that, oh my goodness, why am I not seeing it? It's Angela is it Angela at elefate dot life? My apologies. Yes,
Okay.
Angela at elefate dot life.
Okay. Great.
ELEFATE
Yeah,
dot
yeah.
life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, what a delight to get to know you a little bit better. Obviously, you bring a wide variety, as I said in the very beginning, of business and the nonprofit world and connecting to people at more deeper personal level. So it's been a very rich conversation with you. Thank you for that. And again, I'm Dr. Randy Dirks. This is Funding Your Future Now podcast. We put these out regularly. So just love for you to join in whenever you can, and just want to be able to add value to you and what you do on a daily basis. So thanks for taking this in.
Thank you, Randy. I really appreciate the opportunity.